Hello, and welcome to a new series called What's in My Library, otherwise known as WIML, because that's a lot more fun to say. I realised I have over 600 games across Steam, Epic, and GOG, with most of them being unplayed. I thought, why not work through my whole library from oldest to newest, finding out some info on each game as I go, and maybe adding to my group of regularly played games too. I'm starting with Steam since that's the oldest PC storefront I've been using, so I know it's going to have a good ratio of played to unplayed games. And the first of those is, well, I mean, you've seen the title and the thumbnail. It's Solar 2. You know it's Solar 2. I don't know why I'm doing this bit. This is the first game I ever bought on Steam back in 2011, and I remember spending days upon days playing it. What's that? I only played it for about 13 hours. Huh. Childhood memories are weird, huh? Look, okay, I played it a bit. Clearly, it seemed interesting enough for 14-year-old me to make a Steam account and beg for the money to buy it. So, let's load it up and see if I can't get another 13 hours out of it. Okay, so obviously this is where I was at the last time I played. Okay, alright, cool. So, we can either reset all of the game data or just the tutorials. Now, since I have issues throwing anything away, I'd like to apologise to my partner for the volume of Pokemon cards we have. I'm just going to reset the tutorials. The basic gist of the game is start as Asteroid, hang out with God, don't question it, and go through the stellar life cycle while doing a series of missions. The initial tutorial is really short, but it tells you everything you need to know to begin. WASD moves, hit stuff hard to get bigger. An asteroid doesn't really need to know anything else, so it's not going to waste your time telling you more. What I think is worth noting is that the movement straight off the bat feels really real. I was quite intrigued by this, so I reached out to the developer with a few questions, including how he came up with the realistic movement system in Solar 2. He said, well, I started with the gravity elements and the collisions, because that's fairly straightforward, but I found that just having the player locked into the centre just didn't feel right. It's partly the sense of weight, but also the sense of speed. With a mostly black background, it's hard to get a good frame of reference, so having the camera shift like that gives you a bit of visual feedback for how fast you're going. Kind of like the field of view narrowing or motion blur. None of this stuff was really planned, I just tested the game a lot and added ideas I thought would feel right. It's a simple game, so easy to prototype and try things out. I definitely found the slow acceleration and deceleration gives you a sense of mass and scale, which would be otherwise missing since, graphically, there isn't a great deal going on. Just quickly, before anyone gets the wrong idea, I'm very thankful for the lack of graphical complexity. I remember one of the reasons I bought this game, and most of my early games, was because I would be playing it on my mum's laptop, which was not exactly top of the line for the time, so I'd never have been able to touch it if it had ray tracing and anti-aliasing. And plus, the game's delightfully simple. Why shouldn't it look the same as it plays? There is unfortunately one thing that we do miss out on by me not fully resetting my progress, and that's the intro to the mission system. In a fresh save, you would move your asteroid to a little circle, which would then activate the mission. Thankfully, the developer thought ahead and gave us a little section of the menu to quick start missions, so we can cheat a little bit and take a look at all of the missions that Solar 2 has for us. We can see the missions are broken down by growth stage from asteroid to star, and mission type. The first group of the asteroid missions is Assassin. Our old friend God has decided there's some aliens in need of smiting, and has chosen us for the task. Once we've doled out the punishment, we're going to move on to the planet stage. As you evolve and become more complex, so too do the challenges you're presented with, having a couple of different mission types per growth stage. In the interest of brevity, and so that you have something to do if you buy the game, I'm only going to cover one mission from each stage. For the planet stage, we're going to be looking at fine art. In these missions, we need to do some long-awaited restoration to an intergalactic art piece, delicately removing the asteroid moons that have wormed their way into an otherwise beautiful piece of stellar architecture. While the requirement for this mission is that you're a planet, there is a sub-stage that you definitely want to do this particular mission at. Once you grow enough as a planet, you'll begin to develop life. This isn't something that you can actually control. It just occasionally spawns ships of different varieties to destroy asteroids or enemy ships. These will make this mission in particular much easier for you. While I work on growing into a beautiful star, let's take a look at some details about the game and its developer. Solar 2 is an open-world sandbox game set in an infinite abstract universe. Play constructively, grow your system, nurture life on your planets, and attack enemy life in huge space battles. Play destructively, crash into other objects and cause chaos. Use your orbiting objects like wrecking balls, steal planets from other systems, according to its Steam store page. Developed by J. Watts, also known as Muradai, with music by J.P. Neufeld, also known as Rig. The game was released in 2011 for Windows and Xbox 360, in 2012 on Mac, and in 2013 on Android and iOS. The game is, as you might have guessed, a sequel to Solar, Muradai's first game, which came out 2 years prior on the Xbox 360. The Solar series... hang on, can you call two games a series? Duology has always sounded a little bit pretentious, so I'm just going to stick with series. The Solar series came about while Muradai was working on a Flash-based RTS game, as he told Brad Golloway of Game Critics in 2009. Unfortunately, I was too ambitious. I had no chance of making an entire RTS game myself, so I decided to leave that project and make a new game with the express purpose of making something I could handle. My weakness is graphics, so I played around with Flash to see if I could create some really simple but good looking graphics. I found I could make some really neat looking planets, so I decided to stick with that. I started off making a realistic simulation, and the game wrote itself from there. Solar 2 definitely seems to be the game that Solar was the original prototype for, and I really think that he's managed to refine the game into a much better state. I asked Jay how the story came about for the Solar series, whether it was based on the original game he'd planned for, or if it arose during the development. He said, "The story and writing elements definitely came after the gameplay and graphics. Solar was a more realistic game for me to make, but with simpler graphics and gameplay, the game might have come across as a bit bland. So the story elements were there to add in some imagination and some personality to the game, like a child with blocks imagining a big city, something like that." I definitely feel the big city analogy. For me, Solar 2's story adds a very light framework to make the whole experience much more interesting, even when you aren't playing to directly participate in the story. Now that we're a star, the game expands and gets a bit more complex. When you were a planet, you could attract asteroid moons and get them to orbit you. As a star, you can attract planets, which in turn can attract asteroid moons orbiting them. But be careful, any hits will still reduce your overall mass. You can have more planets orbiting you as you expand your star by eating more planets, and if you want to really push the boat out, you can grow one of your planets into another star to create a binary system, or a 40-star system if you want the grind star achievement. For this mission, we're going to go for a duel. Here, we're pitted against another system. Unfortunately for them, with a protagonist, and I've done some prep, getting myself all the way up to a neutron star, the last stage before you hit the end game. So this should be pretty simple. Now that we've taken all of them out, we can finish our journey and become a black hole. The black hole exists just to eat. Same. And unlike the other stages, only has one predator, larger black holes. You basically need to hoover everything in sight while steering clear of any red arrows which point to larger, deadlier black holes. As a black hole, you have a much greater gravitational pull, and the bigger you are, the stronger it gets. So when you see that red arrow, you really have to run, or... I've had a really good time revisiting this. Since I was a kid, I always had a thing for space games. Space RTS, Space 4X, space shooters. You basically throw the word space in front of a genre and I'm there. So this was a really easy choice for young me, and it's a choice I would definitely make again now. Getting to actually be the planet or star and nurture life, creating a symbiotic relationship, feels quite special for how simple the game is as a whole. I do understand now why I played the 13 hours and then stopped. Once you complete the story missions, there are challenge missions for you to do at each stage, which really put your knowledge and skill to the test. But to be honest, even though I played a lot of games when I was a kid, I wasn't exactly great at any of them. So I can see how my younger self very quickly became frustrated and rage quit, which is definitely more a critique of me than the game. Solar 2 is currently £6.99 on Steam, with the lowest recorded price being just £1.39. At either price or anything in between, this is definitely an easy buy if you're a fan of space games, or if you've ever wanted to just wander through space for a few hours while listening to some chill music. Thanks so much for watching, and the hugest of thanks to Jay Watts for responding to my message. He's currently working on a new game, which sounds a lot more like the original game he planned on making. He said, "It's a strategy game where you create viruses to infect and control robots in a big robot city. It's built on RTS mechanics, but plays completely different. Every robot can be infected and controlled. You'll need to defeat antiviruses and other defenses, not to mention hostile viruses." I'm pretty excited from his description, and I'm definitely going to be keeping an ear out for any more info. I'm hoping you either learn something about a new game, or learn something new about a game that you think you remembered playing about a decade ago. In any case, stay tuned for more WIML. Up next is Team Fortress 2. I'm not totally sure yet what more there is to say about one of the most prolific Steam games of all time, but I'm going to try. I'm going to leave you all with Jay's last words from our exchange. When I asked if he had anything else he wanted to say, he did the old "had him in the first half" meme and said, "I'm really excited for AI, because it means developers are going to take the easy way out and use it to make really crappy games. Less competition for me." And Jay, I couldn't agree more. I'll see you all next time.